the party master on Up and Go, The Bridge, 99 FM.
Good morning to you, Jamaica. Good morning to our friends on the international scene. This is Up and Go, and you're on The Bridge, 99 FM to the world. My name is Richie B. DJ Audley is in the building. So is Jody, and so is Richard Rainford, and we've got you. So guess what? It's all covered. Right now, we're going to take you through the paces of today. Today being what? Thursday the 14th of October already. Here is weekend coming up. It's now 15 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. And we're here to get you up, to get you fed, get you dressed and out to work, school or play. And we're going to make it happen big time today. Right now, it's time for headlines across the bridge. First up, we take a look at the Gleaner newspaper here in Jamaica. Open book. Treasurer of the JCTE, that is the Joint Committee for Tertiary Education, says financial records available, denies business partnership with Cornwall and knowledge of controversial TRN. So, Mr. Fillmore McCarthy, treasurer of the JCTE for more than 4 years, declared on Wednesday that he is willing to open the books of the advisory board for an investigation into the transfer of $124 million from the Education Ministry. This comes as Auditor General Pamela Monroe Ellis has asked Education Minister Riquet Williams to call in the police or an anti-corruption body to probe what the JCTE did with the funds paid out to it within a 32-month period. The new developments have exacerbated the agony of the Holness administration, which has seen the Education Ministry embroiled in spiraling scandals that have hemorrhaged its leadership in less than 3 years and caused political embarrassment. Asked if he would cooperate with investigators, McCarthy, who is also the principal of Excelsior Community College, said, "Definitely, that's the decision. In fact, as far as I'm aware, during my tenure, there is an audited statement which was tabled at the company's office as an annual report." He stressed that the JCTE had its audited financial statements. And we move on now to the Jamaica Observer newspaper here in Jamaica, where the headline, JC6 seeking election to PTA executive group proposes blueprint to face-to-face classes. And the story reads, 6 fathers at Jamaica College are asserting that they have what they believe is part of the answer to the island's struggle to return to in-person learning. The group is led by Colin Greenland, who is vying for the post of president of the JC Parent Teachers Association, PTA, which will have its elections today. Other members of the group vying for leadership at the JC PTA include Dr. Leopold Powell, Julian Rodney, Noel Brown, Julian Thompson, and JC Old Boys President Major Basil Jarrett. The 6 men are all JC Old Boys. Since June, they have been working on a solution which they believe will bring face-to-face classes back to school and slow the blow that the novel coronavirus pandemic has brought on the country's education system. They say the solution revolves around dividing and narrowing down the school population, then strategizing means of transportation within the school population. Sounds like it's an interesting proposal that they're working on. We should really want to be getting a little bit more details on that at some point in time. Morning, Colin, Mr. Greenland, how are you? And going further in the Caribbean now, St. Lucia health officials claim 4th wave of COVID-19 ebbs. This is out of Castries, St. Lucia. St. Lucia health officials, in a press release attributed to the Government Information Service, the GIS, announced increases in severe COVID-19 cases and deaths from the island's southwest. And they say this is the case since the 4th wave began on July 25. There have been some 133 COVID-19 deaths on average. That is around 3 deaths daily. Males account for 56% of the deaths, and there has been an increase in severe cases, admissions, and deaths from the southwestern zone of the country, which also corresponds to the areas of low vaccination uptake. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belmar George said the Ministry of Health will be doubling vaccination efforts, particularly as more cases of the dangerous Delta variant are in fact recorded. And let's swing over now to a story coming out of Europe. A 37-year-old man has been arrested and charged after 5 people were killed and 2 injured in a bow and arrow attack in the Norwegian town of Kongsberg yesterday. The suspect is a Danish citizen who lives in the town, police said in a statement early this morning. The suspect, who has not been named by police, was arrested on Wednesday afternoon and transported to the nearby city of Drammen. Police have not disclosed what charges the suspect is facing. Authorities released the latest statement to counter what they said was speculation on social media that other perpetrators were involved. And that story appears under the heading, Suspect Charged After 5 Killed in Bow and Arrow Attack in Norway. Those are the stories making it to headlines across the bridge. We gave you stories from Jamaica, from the region, and from the wider world. Join us again tomorrow morning at 6:15 when once again we'll have headlines across the bridge. Right now, we've been telling you that we do have a guest, and he's ready to speak with us. He's the managing director of PetroJam Limited. And we've been monitoring the increases that have been going on at the pumps. Prices at the pumps for petrol skyrocketing, some would say. And we'd love to get some answers or even an explanation from PetroJam's managing director, Mr. Winston Watson, who's our guest at this time. Good morning, Mr. Watson. Welcome. How are you?
Hi, good morning. Thanks a lot for inviting me. Morning to your listeners.
All right, we thank you. It's always good to talk with you, Mr. Watson. Have you been noticing the rapid increases in prices at the pumps?
Well, I've been noticing the increase, but remember, prior to this, it was going down the last 3 weeks, and then in the last week, 2 weeks or so, prices have started to go back up.
There must be an explanation for this. Many people will appreciate reductions, but they don't appreciate increases. So what is causing this level of these increases at this time, Mr. Watson?
Well, 2 things. It's a dynamic market, so it goes up and it goes down. Mm-hmm. Now, you're speaking, I believe, of oil prices going up, which is one side of the market, which is crude oil. Mm-hmm. And then there's gasoline and diesel prices, which have started to go up over the last couple of weeks. So what's driving it?
Mm-hmm. Tell us.
Typically, we tell the market not to look at crude oil prices because you're not putting crude oil into your car. You're putting in gasoline, you're putting in diesel. But the crude oil is a raw material for gasoline and diesel.
Yes.
What has been happening over the last couple of weeks, Russia decided to increase the price of their LNG to the European market. And so the power producers have been switching from LNG to oil-derived products, that is diesel, to run their power generators, and HFO, heavy fuel oil. That then creates a demand for those products in Europe. The market in the U.S., which is our reference market, they're fetching a higher price in Europe because the demand is there, so they have been sending their products to Europe. So that's one driver of high prices. The other side of it is there's a level of confidence in the market that a COVID vaccine is working. People are moving around more, people going on vacation, people visiting relatives. So there's a demand for gasoline as well, and diesel in the United States, and jet fuel. So that movement, that demand is also driving prices up. And then the last thing is, as I mentioned earlier, raw material, crude oil. OPEC pretty much had cut back on their production. And then recently, with the movements in demand, they have decided to increase their output, but not to the level the market expected. Mm-hmm. So the market still think there's a shortage of crude oil. As I said, crude oil is a raw material that goes into the refineries to make the finished product. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole set of events just happened to be coming together over the last 2 weeks that's pushing up the prices you're seeing now.
Yeah. I actually saw a report this morning on one of the international news channels where they were saying that even in the United States, prices have gone up about $16 over last year, and they're reporting skyrocketing of prices. Do we buy from the U.S.?
Yes, we buy from the U.S., and but we use the U.S. market as a reference. So we don't set the prices absolutely. We buy from the market, so we buy at market price. So prices in the U.S. is going up, prices in Europe going up, prices all over the world is going up. In the U.S., for instance, in places like California, gasoline is selling for well over $4 a gallon. In Miami, it's well over $3, just under $4. So you're correct, the prices are going up all over the place.
When you look into the foreseeable future, what can you say to our listeners this morning? Are we likely to see a reduction anytime soon?
If I could predict the price of oil, I would not be working at PetroJam.
So you can't.
If you ask where I think the market is going,
yes, tell us that.
I can give you an idea, but I really don't know. My personal belief is that it cannot continue like this. First of all, the pandemic isn't gone. Secondly, we're getting into what they call the winter season, which means you'll have less demand for gasoline, people, less moving around. And that will hopefully taper off the demand. And so I see that prices should come back down. That's my belief. And of course, the major producers, the OPEC Plus and all those guys, are also seeing that the demand is falling off because the prices are going up. And they will react to that. And thirdly, once the prices get to where they are over $80 a barrel for crude oil, it brings the U.S. producers back into the play, and I don't think they're happy with that because then they have competition from the U.S. producers. And as I said, once that raw material starts to go up, you will see a reaction. So my personal opinion is I think it's going to taper off.
But how soon?
The latter part of this year.
Towards the latter part.
Probably in another. I don't know. In another 2 weeks, maybe, depending on how the market is reacting. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure, but that's my opinion.
What do you suggest to the motorists out there now? I guess people will have to find ways and means to try to conserve to reduce their consumption. Any other suggestion that you'd like to share with our motorists?
Well, you're correct. Conservation is the way we should go. And so, for instance, a lot of people put 90-octane gasoline in their cars when their cars really need 87 octane. There's a perception that the 90, the higher octane, is better. It's not so. If your car is designed for 87, put 87 octane. It's a cheaper fuel, and you get the same performance. That's one way of conserving. The other way is just to watch where you drive, how often you drive, do you need to go? Can you look at carpooling, for instance? Things like that. I mean, our transport system is not the best, so of course people have an issue with that. But you're going to have to practice your own conservation. But one big plug for that is put 87 if you don't need 90. And as I said, a lot of people buy 90 octane and not realizing it's a much more expensive fuel.
Mm-hmm. Do you get a sense that the public is now more understanding or even appreciative of your own pricing mechanisms at PetroJam?
I'm not sure, because every time the price go down, you hear prices are going down. That's good. But once it's starting to go back up, you get the negative reaction. I mean, we still go there and we still try to educate the marketplace, the public, as to how we price and what is happening. And I think we're getting an understanding. The blowback hasn't been bad, but it's not as positive as I would like. And that's something we're working on, just to push out more education, material, explain more what we're doing and how we're doing it. But the pricing mechanism works. It protects you when the prices are going up significantly, as now, because we have a smoothing mechanism in there, so we do not put on the market excessively high prices. And it works the opposite as well. If prices is coming down, depending on how far down it's going, we again smooth it down. So you get a nice regular price in the marketplace and not these wild swings that you may well see in say, a market where the prices are changing on a daily basis.
Yeah, because when you wake up to news that your petrol price is going up by $3.06 per liter, that is a wild swing, if you ask me.
But it's over a week.
Yeah, yes.
So we change our prices weekly. Now, typically, a wild swing which you may not see as much would be if you were looking at something like daily price changes, but we don't change daily. And the week allows you to smooth the effect, the shocks of that price movement. So it's actually working.
And by the way, if it's $3.06 per liter in terms of an increase, that is somewhere over $12 per gallon, isn't it?
Yes.
When you do the calculations.
If you do it like that, correct.
Yeah. Okay. Mr.
But remember, that that is our price. Then you have the marketing companies and you have the retailers as well, who would also add their respective markup.
Right. Well, we just hope that we'll see some prices going down. You can't predict it, but that is our hope. I'm sure it's your hope as well, Mr. Watson.
Yes, absolutely. It is our hope. I mean, we understand the burden that the consumers are facing, and we are very, very cognizant of that. But as I said, we are just price takers, really. Jamaica is a price taker in the oil business.
Yeah.
We're not a producer. We're a very small refinery in the scheme of things. But at least we have some security by having our own refinery. Because there are times, when you cannot get finished product.
Yeah.
And the only thing you can get is crude oil. So that helps us many times.
To the best of your knowledge, is drilling still going on offshore in search of oil off the shores of Jamaica?
I know we still have an arrangement with a UK company to do exploration. They haven't done any drilling. What they were doing was seismic work to look at the conditions out there offshore if there's any oil or gas. But as far as I know, there isn't any drilling, and they're still looking or doing work on the seismic.
All right. If God smiles at us, then we'll have some reserves like a Guyana or one of these countries. We're a praying nation, so let's get on our knees. Thank you, Mr. Watson. Always a pleasure talking with you, and take care. Okay. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, take care. That was a chat with Mr. Winston Watson. He's the managing director of PetroJam Limited. So, we are a praying nation. Let's pray that we can discover some oil offshore, man, because, it's kind of rough. It's really rough. Not true? Yeah, it is. It is a challenging time for motorists. Right now it's 7:32 a.m. and it's time for us to welcome our next guest. This, of course, October is Lupus Awareness Month. And we understand the theme is children and youth with lupus, saving lives through knowledge and support. And we have a volunteer for the Lupus Foundation who's joining us now, who's also a student at the University of the West Indies living with lupus. And to share some of her experiences, we're joined now by Umeko Chin. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, Umeko. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Feeling on top of the world?
Yes.
All right. I'm happy to hear that. Umeko, a lot of persons are listening right now and they're not familiar with lupus and what it is and what it does to your body, to our bodies. So what can you tell us? What is lupus?
Okay, well, for starters, lupus is a chronic or lifelong disorder in the immune system. So basically, your body is fighting against itself. It doesn't know the difference between the good cells and the bad cells. So the body's immune system becomes dysfunctional, attacking the healthy tissues and leading to illnesses. Any organ or tissue can be affected, sometimes with life-threatening results, unfortunately. Lupus occurs mostly in young women. It can occur in men too as well, but at an average age of 22 years. The disease can also affect males, as I said, and has been diagnosed in different age groups, up to 20% in children. Most people from African descent living in the Caribbean and North America have the high prevalence of lupus.
All right. So it really it seems to be growing in popularity because more and more we're hearing of persons who are actually having that challenge. How long since you discovered your own situation with lupus?
I discovered it 8 years ago. 7 years ago. I was actually in high school, and I just got really severely ill. They thought it was meningitis. It's actually still a blur because I went through so much treatment and went through so many doctors to try to diagnose what exactly was happening to me. But eventually, I kept throwing up, actually. I kept passing out. That's what I remember. And then the last doctor I went to, they said, yes, you have lupus. So I took a series of tests, and then it came out positive, and then they said, yes, it's lupus.
So, if I should ask you, how does it manifest itself? I mean, like, what are the issues that you have, say, on a consistent basis, pretty much, as someone having the challenge of lupus?
Okay, well, before, when I was just diagnosed and still young, I didn't really understand how to handle it. I would fall asleep a lot, and I'm assuming that's from the meds. Even though fatigue does come with lupus, I was falling asleep in class a lot. I would get severe joint pains. My organs, I would also feel pain in my kidney area. That's called a flare. And that would be triggered by things that I ate and also stress. So growing up, I had to learn to manage that. I had to cut out a lot of things in my diet, a lot, actually. I tried to keep my body alkaline, to prevent inflammation. I exercise. I stay out of the sun, even though I love the beach. But when I go to the beach, I make sure that I wear sunblock and a huge hat.
Okay.
And did I mention exercise?
Yes, you did mention exercise.
Yes, yes, that's very important.
Okay. If there's a radio on in the background, we're asking that you turn it down for us. It's causing a little difficult for us. All right. Now, what can you tell us about the Lupus Foundation and the kind of support that it gives to persons who are suffering from lupus?
Sorry, repeat that.
Yeah, the Lupus Foundation of Jamaica. What support does it give to persons who are suffering from lupus?
Okay, well, at the Lupus Foundation is actually a member-based nonprofit organization. They have corporate sponsorships, monetary donations. Members can go and visit and seek. Members can go and seek. What do you call it? Also, I forgot to say that another one of the issues with lupus is sometimes we have brain fog. So I don't know if it's because it's so early in the morning, but like my brain is
okay. Understood.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm really sorry.
You're doing well. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, but members can come. We have support group meetings. We also have a WhatsApp group. That's a part of the membership benefit. We have professional counseling services, which is really good because a lot of people, especially in Jamaica, they don't really understand what it is, really. So we have doctors that come in to assess the various challenges that a lot of lupus patients may have and just don't really understand how to cope with. We have hospital visits. Those who are in the hospital, group members can come. And support overall is the most important thing when you have lupus. Because it is so misunderstood, it's good to have people around who know about the illness. Because once you have people who don't understand what you're going through and are confused, it causes stress mentally. Yes, it causes stress. And then when you stress, you get a flare. And then stress and flares, for me personally, I notice when I stress, my kidneys start to hurt.
Oh, wow. To the best of your knowledge, is it a curable disease?
No, it's just treatable.
Okay, treatable, not curable. Are there any activity that you'd like to highlight for this month being Lupus Awareness Month?
Okay, yeah. So for this month, we have a social media campaign. So you can post your stories on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have LinkedIn and TikTok, and just tag us at the Lupus Foundation, JA. You can record a video sharing your story. Put on Purple Fridays. So every Friday you wear something purple. We have a children's poster competition. Entries close October 27th. So the winner will be announced at an annual symposium on October 31st. You also have, lastly, Laps for Lupus. Laps for Lupus Awareness. So Laps Your Way. It's a virtual lapathon competition. It started October 11th to the 17th. It's a virtual event, so it's also family friendly, so everyone can come. Last year it was really good. We had a lot come out and we had fun actually. The Lupus Symposium, October 31st, 10 a.m. Children and youth with lupus, improving outcomes through knowledge and support. Health professionals, scientific presentations and panel discussions, making the difference, streaming free on YouTube and Facebook.
Okay. Even amidst the challenge of suffering from lupus, how are your studies coming along?
Sorry.
How are your studies coming along, even though you're having the challenge of lupus?
Honestly?
Your studies, yes?
Yes. Honestly, I try so hard. I'm actually still in university because I took a semester off because I got sick. Also, sometimes I find it so hard to focus. And because of stress, again, it's hard. It's really hard, but I am making progress. Almost done.
Don't give up the fight, Umeko. We're hoping and praying that you'll be A-OK going forward and continue to put up a strong fight with this battle with lupus. All the best to you and to all those out there of our listeners who might have a similar challenge. I wish you well, and it was really great talking with you. And take good care, all right?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I chat there with a young female university student who is suffering from lupus. It's important that we highlight issues like those, especially in this month, which is Lupus Awareness Month. And that was a chat with Umeko Chin. She's also a volunteer for the Lupus Foundation of Jamaica. And we wish her and all those who have that challenge all the best. All right? Words coming out of Aishana's mouth in relation to her interpretation and remake of a song that was made popular by Ed Sheeran. has now gone further on the international scale to the extent that it has caught the attention of Ed himself. That's Edie. and Ed found it very, very funny. You know, Ed has a song called Shape of You. And after that song soared to popularity in top charts around the world, Jamaica's very own Ishana decided to do her own version of it. And she called her version, it was called Equal Rights, right? You know the song. Don't play it, Audley. Don't play it. Please, for God's sake, do not play it. Okay? That would bring our broadcasting license into question. It would be the end of us. So Ed was in the Caribbean recently, and he happened to have heard the song, and he says, what I like about Shape of You is anywhere I go in the world, people know that song, and there's so many remixes of it. He says, I was in the Caribbean recently, and I heard a totally different song. He says it's really... I'm doing a live edit. He actually described it as quite filthy, but he says it's quite funny as well. And he says she's just talking about her man and herself in, let me just say, a compromising position, yeah, man. That's what I'm going to say. So Ed was laughing his head off, and he was saying, man, he's recommending that people actually listen to, this is Ed Sheeran, Ed Sheeran was one of the biggest selling acts out of Europe last year. And remember we carried a story about that? So Ed has come in contact now with Ishana's lyrics. You know that song that she talks about equal rights? You know, it starts off, I can mention the start of the song where she says, I just got started. What do you think one round can do? Is she talking about liquor? Maybe she was, and we misinterpreted her. Bumper to... No, we can't do that. Listen now, forget this story I'm on. We're going to leave it right where it's at. But the fact is, she has come to the attention of Ed Sheeran. That is spelled E-D. And it means, therefore, that you never can tell. Maybe they'll have a collaboration or something coming up in the near future. That would be good for Ishana, don't you think? This month is also being celebrated as Oral Health Month in Jamaica. And they have an interesting theme, Be Proud of Your Mouth. We're going to be joined now by Dr. Riquet Williams, Doctor of Dental Surgery. She's a surgeon at the Northeast Regional Health Authority, and she'll be here to highlight some of the activities for Oral Health Month, and you'll find it interesting. Good morning, Dr. Williams. Welcome to Up and Go. How are you today?
Good morning, Richie B. Good morning to your wonderful listeners. I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Doc. I want to start by asking you to highlight for us this morning why it is important that we have good oral health.
It is so vital for us to have good oral health. Most persons don't pay attention to the mouth except for the basic brushing, and that's it. But most persons don't understand that it's important to your mouth is important to smell, to speak, to chew, to swallow. You can't do any of things without your mouth. So try sounding the letter T without your teeth. Impossible.
Yes.
Try swallowing your food without your tongue. Try taking a selfie without any teeth in your mouth. It can't happen. So what we're trying to do this Oral Health Month is to emphasize that you need to be proud of it, proud of your mouth, value it, because it's an essential asset to you, your general well-being, and your overall health.
I find the theme quite interesting. Be proud of your mouth. How did you all come up with that, and why?
Okay, so this is a general worldwide theme put on by the International Federation of Dentistry. It's celebrated in every country, and it's running for a 3-year period.
Oh.
And we definitely want persons to take care of their mouth, because right now what we're seeing is that, especially since the pandemic has started, is that persons have pushed it to one side. And we're seeing an increase in cavities, tooth pain, and overall bad breath.
So, in making the suggestion that one should take care of one's mouth, what do you suggest in terms of maybe even checkups? To check up on your mouth, your teeth. How often? Give us some suggestions as to how we should go about taking care of our oral health.
Okay, so when we're dealing with taking care of our mouth, it goes back to the 3 basics. One, brush your teeth. You need to do that twice a day, every day. And you shouldn't be using a toothbrush that is worn out with the bristles that are flat, right? It doesn't matter if it's electronic or manual, and you need to use ideally a soft toothbrush and change it every 3 months. You also need to floss. Most persons fail in that area. But think about it this way. You brush your teeth, but when you eat, the food gets stuck between your teeth. If you don't remove the food, it stays there, slowly rots, and that ends up rotting the teeth as well.
Okay.
So what happens is that you end up developing cavities that you may not see. And then now you come to the dentist with tooth pain. Also, the final thing for the 3 is that you have to use a mouthwash. But my recommendation is to use a fluoridated mouthwash. Ideally, it should have some percentage, ideally 0.5%. You can look at, it's available in Jamaica everywhere. Several brands are doing it. So just find one and do that. Sugar is important in that you need to eat less of it. That's hard in a culture where we love sweet things. But what I'm saying is not to stop eating sugar, but eat it in moderation.
Got you.
And wherever possible, you try to floss and brush to get the sugar off your teeth.
All right. Let's now focus, Dr. Williams, on some of the activities that are planned for Oral Health Month. Which ones would you like to highlight?
Okay, so right across the island, because of the pandemic, a lot of things have been scaled back. But right across the island, you can visit our clinic to come in and get your checkups. We will also going out to the satellite areas, the small clinics in rural areas, to see persons who are not able to come out and get their teeth examined and checked. We're also visiting special needs homes. We have a special target for the mothers, pregnant mothers, because we have found that the research has shown that if a mother has good oral health, then the child and ultimately the family will have good oral health overall. We are also doing a lot of social media, so you can visit the various sites. If for St. Anne, which I'm a part of that team, you can visit the St. Anne Health Department Dental Services Facebook page. We are also on Instagram. You can come and see what we have posted. We're doing sealants for the children to help protect against cavities, hand scaling cleanings, because due to the pandemic, we can't do much of the electronic cleanings because we might end up spreading COVID. But we are definitely doing hand scaling in the government clinics.
Something I've always wondered, Dr. Williams, is there a connection between heart disease and poor oral health?
Absolutely. The research shows that persons who have poor oral health, there is a definite link between heart disease and poor oral health. What we call is gum disease. So if your gums are inflamed, infected, then your risk of heart disease, stroke, heart attack is increased. Interestingly, there's also a definite link to Alzheimer's. Yes.
Never heard that one before.
Yes, most definitely. There's also a link for the men. There's a link to impotence. Yes. Okay. And also overall health.
All right.
If you have, for example, if you eat more, if you're obese, most likely you have gum disease. Oh, the most important one, I forgot.
Which one?
Diabetes.
Oh.
If you have periodontal disease, gum disease, bone disease, definitely your risk of diabetes is increased, and vice versa.
Okay. Those are quite revealing bits of information there. Thank you for that, Dr. Williams. All right. Well, in closing, what would you like to leave with us? Maybe some tips, some basics as it relates to oral health before you go.
All right. As I said before, oral health is only it's best to do it in a preventative fashion. So if you take care of your mouth, it's cheaper in the long run. If you don't take care of it, it's going to cost you more. In a society where image is everything, my advice to you is to simply ensure you brush your teeth, floss, use your mouth rings, eat a balanced diet that doesn't have lots of sugar in it, avoid smoking, and overall just do healthy things that will help you. If you're living a healthy life, you definitely will have a healthy mouth.
All right, Dr. Williams, thank you so much for talking with us this morning. We appreciate your time and the information you shared.
Thank you so much, Richie.
I wish you all the best. Have a good day today.
Same to you.
All right, much appreciated. I chat there with Dr. Riquet Williams, Doctor of Dental Surgery, and she's a dental surgeon at the Northeast Regional Health Authority. Shared a lot of important information with us. Remember, this is Oral Health Month in Jamaica, and the theme, as she expounded on it earlier, be proud of your mouth. Are you proud of your mouth? All right, you ought to be. And Mr. Vegas, he's been talking quite a bit, and I think he kind of put some shade beside Nicki Minaj, that is, and also Drake, whilst he was busy praising Cardi B for her dancehall birthday bash. And whilst doing so, he shared a screenshot of Cardi B's party sign where Mr. Vegas and the Bronx rapper are tagged with the caption, "Cardi sincerely loves dancehall, unlike Drake and Nicki. She does not see it as a little flavoring for albums or remixes. The queen dedicated her birthday to we culture, passa passa dancehall. This is how you know she's not a vulture." He later removed their names, but the comments still depict a half-sided debate on the matter. And he has been getting a lot of flack from a lot of fans of Nicki Minaj, who have been giving it to Mr. Vegas big time. Well, you know, he will always confidently respond, because those things don't seem to get the better of him at all. So we expect that he'll be talking back at them or to them and expressing himself. I saw a while ago where there's a marriage that was planned and the bride is now livid. Why is she livid? Because her family did not arrive at her wedding due to problems with Southwest Airlines. Remember, we've been telling you about the problems that they've been having with cancellation of flights and so on. Here it is, this beautiful lady, bride. She planned her wedding, and on the day of the wedding, majority of her families did not make it because they did not arrive in time due to problems with Southwest Airlines. I hope that by now Southwest is getting their act together, and we'll be able to get back to full schedule soon, because it's causing a lot of inconveniences. I think we have Naomi Cowan now connected, right? Good morning, Naomi Cowan.
Good morning.
All right, so you're definitely there. How are you, Naomi?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Not too bad at all. I know that you're doing great because we've been reading a lot and seeing a lot, and it seems like this year is turning out to be an absolutely beautiful year for you so far. What is it like from your perspective, though?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to be grateful for at the end of the day, and, we can never forget to be thankful for all things, the good and the bad, you know what I mean? But, from my perspective, I have just, I think I've just always made a commitment to creating more, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I feel like in this business and in this career, when you just focus on the part of the job that is most important to you, which for me is the creation, it will always give you back tenfold in a way. So, so I'm just grateful and happy that despite, everything we see going on, I've just made a decision to keep going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it can be tough on the musicians right now, especially here. But at the end of the day, we just have to keep going. So from my perspective, it's good. It's a work of love.
Yeah. When you get right down to it, Naomi, I mean, you have been in the business for some time, but initially we used to see you on the road from time to time doing backup vocals work with your mom specifically, and then you decided a few years ago to come forward and get going with your own career. How long ago since you actually ventured on this solo career path?
Sure. I would say, actually, I remember my first release.
Uh-huh.
So my first official release was really in 2015, but I was still in school at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't consider that when I really went solo. I would say it would have been, I think, end of 2017, I put out a cover of Things You Say You Love, which you might know that song by the Jamaicans.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
And then it was really in 2018 now where I really started to push myself as an individual artist, and in Paradise Plum, etc., etc. So, I mean, I guess you would say it's been about 3 years now.
Yeah. And you have accomplished a lot. I don't want you to just slide over Paradise Plum like that.
No.
Like it's not a big thing. That is a huge song for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it really is, and still is, and it's I'm really just grateful that the song came to me in the way that it did. I when Teflon, the producer, played the rhythm for me, immediately I had the hook. You know what I'm saying? I still have the voice notes saved from when I first found that hook.
Really?
With the silence. Yeah, man. So, that's how it goes. You listen into a rhythm and you just a reason and you talk, and then I was just humming.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget it. Well, I have it.
Yeah.
But, I'll never forget it because I just sitting there and I'm like, banana dinner tonight. And then you can just hear me. I don't really come up with words first. I always come up with the melody first. And so then I'm just there. And then, the one word I heard, even though I never had any words, silence was the first one. So I had silence, blah, blah, blah. So I had that, right? I had that saved as a voice note. And then the next day or so, I reached out to a friend of mine who is also, she is of musical heritage. Another artist and writer, her name is Sarah Coach.
Okay.
And her mom, I don't know if you know her mom, late Susan Coach, who talented.
Oh yes.
And so I just said, I was like, Sarah, I feel like you should finish this song with me. I didn't, I don't know where it came from. I was just like, can we finish writing this, because I don't have the main part, but I've always wanted to work with her.
Yes.
So I said, would you be down to just linking up and seeing what we come up with? And we just got together. And one bottle of wine later, we just finished the whole song.
Okay.
And that was it.
There you go.
So Paradise Plum, very special song to me. And it's really done a lot for me. There's a lot of work that went into it as well. I wouldn't say it was an overnight thing, and nothing is overnight, as you know. But because I believe in the song, and we all believed in the song, we just kept pushing it.
Yeah.
And thankfully now, it's a part of my identity. I even have a tattoo with it. So.
Really? Okay. Do you still maintain that formula then of that one bottle of wine later when you're writing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just depends on who. So for me, oftentimes might be a little red wine, or people are always shocked by this, but I actually really enjoy white rum, and
I don't believe that, Naomi.
You don't believe it, right?
No, I don't
believe it, right? So anytime I work with somebody new, they're like, they might say, oh, you want anything or whatever. I say, well, if you're having your whites and tin, that's fine. They're like,
this is surprising.
Look, them say, she all right? And I said, no, I'm fine. And say, don't really, I mean, I know a lot of people can manage, but I don't know what it is with my body chemistry, because I'm not even I'm not even a heavy drinker, whatever the case is, but
it just happens. And if
so
it works,
big up Ray nephew. And I'm not paid. This is not a paid drop. You know what I'm saying?
It's not.
It's genuine. It's either one of those two things. I don't really like sweet drinks. I don't really like blended stuff. I just kind of keep my stuff simple when it comes to that. So.
Well, that is very, very interesting to hear. Recently you linked up with Walshify, and I get the feeling that some big things were in the making. What about that collaboration? What happened?
Yeah. So last year, I would say about, I can't feel like it had been, April of 2020 or so. I think the borders were still closed everywhere, not just Jamaica, but everywhere. And so he happened to have been here. And, we just met up one day because I initially met him in a studio session that I was invited to come. And we had vibed really well and whatever. And so myself and, a producer, her name is Wiz, or the Wizard, right? She's
that's Barris's daughter.
Yes, yeah. So they reached out to me and said, hey, you want to link up? And so we just started to talk and just reason about music and where we feel like the music industry is going and my music and blah, blah, blah. And then we didn't really set out to do anything particular other than we just say, oh, let's just start writing. Let's start making music. And basically all of last year, that's what me, Wiz, and Walshy were just in the studio. Now, by the end of last year, I was like, Walshy, what are we gonna do with all these songs? Because I had already had songs recorded from before that, like meaning from 2019 or so. And I was like, man, I have to come up with a plan as to how this whole thing is what's gonna look like. And so then I came up with this idea of, he came up with this idea of let's put out a sequence of projects, me and you. So the first project we released is called Star Girl. And that was released in July. And that is a EP/mixtape. So what that looks like is, if you're into the mixtape culture, you can listen to it on Major Laser's YouTube, and it have a whole heap of dub plates, a whole heap of cover songs, as well as my originals. I even have Marcia Griffiths did a dub plate with me, so she and I have a Land of Love dub plate. Cool. I have different vibrations on there. It's really, honestly, I'm really proud of that. And so the idea is like from now and in the next 2 years, we're actually releasing 4 projects. So the follow-up project. And this is the first time I'm actually physically announcing it.
Tell us.
So you get the exclusive.
Oh, thank you.
The follow-up project is a short. Well, that's what the EP is. A 3-track Christmas EP titled Starlight.
Oh.
Yeah, and so my mom also is featured on that. So you probably know what song is gonna be on that project, if you can guess.
I'm thinking. That big Christmas song,
right?
Santa Claus?
Yes.
Do you ever come to the ghetto?
Yeah, so she and I are doing a 2021 version of it.
Wow.
Well, so this year is the 40th year that's since that song was released. And so I only thought it would be right that she and I work on that together. Cool. So that's what's to come next. So with Walshy, he's awesome, in that he's very, because I think also his experience working with so many different artists, being on the road with Major Lazer, etc. He sees the global element of what music can do and what Jamaica music can do. And so he's just always pushing me to go beyond my own comfort zone, not be afraid to experiment in other things, but still stay true to who I am and my foundation.
Yeah. Those are some exciting things that you have that we'll be looking out for. And please let us get our hands on some of this material as soon as you can. The song Energy also did well for you, didn't it? Yeah, for sure. And it's still doing really well. We've already, so Star Girl, the project Star Girl has a couple singles off of there. There's one called Lucky Me featuring Runkus. And you guys should have that one as well. And
now in maybe about 2 weeks, we're putting out a video for another song from the project called Holiday. And that song, I feel like you would really like. That's a beautiful song. If you guys have the tracks, you need to play it. When we come off of this call, it's called Holiday from Stargirl. I know you're going to like it.
Yeah, we do have it, and we'll play it for you.
Yeah. So man, we have a lot of, from now, until the end of the year, because I was in New York recently, I did a listening party for Stargirl. And so I shot a lot of visuals while I was there. Actually shot 4.
Oh, really?
4.
Okay.
So Holiday is the first one we'll put out, and then for some of the songs from the project. So I'm excited about that.
Okay, you're speaking to me from a room where you're surrounded by musical instruments. Do you play any of those guitars that I see on the wall behind you, or any other instrument for that matter?
This is so so those are my guitars. The white one is I kind of stole from my dad's house because they don't use it. I don't really play the electric as often, so I want to get into playing the electric guitar. And then there's a keyboard on there. And then, well, you're not going to be able to see it, but I do plan. I have a electric grand. No, not grand, but I have a larger piano that I want to put here beside me. So for me, it's important that I'm surrounded by music.
There are a number of issues that women have been highlighting recently, of abuse and all kinds of things. But what do you say to a young upcoming entertainer right now in terms of how they might want to navigate and make and progress in this industry?
Yeah, and and the funny thing is that I'm still learning as I'm going along too.
Right.
So, but one of the things I would say is, in general, especially when you're not male or female, upcoming artists need support, right? We need support from people that are already in this industry. So oftentimes we might go to other artists, we might go to other, managers or people that are, or producers that have made some kind of traction, which is great. But then I think where the abuse and sometimes the people getting taken advantage comes up is when you need the help, you go to somebody and you say, hey, this and that, here's my music, I want some help. And sometimes people take advantage of you in those circumstances. So what I would really say is that when you are stepping out in the industry, and before you go and ask anybody for help, have 1 or 2 people on your side that have people that will protect you, that don't have any extra interest in the situation. Meaning people that will protect you and look out for you and them check for you no matter what, regardless of if them getting money out of it or not. You know what I'm saying? And oftentimes that tends to be like a family member or whatever. But in other words, don't walk into certain rooms alone. Don't go into certain conversations alone. And it's not about, boy, you need a lawyer, you need this and that, but it don't matter. Just don't be presenting yourself as being alone, because I think that's really where it gets kind of tricky, because somebody sees, this young female, oh, she's, this, that, she's cute and she's innocent and whatever. And if that person has ego issues, they're going to see you as a way to control you and exercise their power, right? So I think what's most important is that you don't, as I said, you don't traverse through this part of the chapter by yourself.
Got you. Very important advice. Naomi, we're out of time. I really, really appreciate you talking with us this morning. Where can you be found on social media?
Yeah, of course. So at Naomi Cowan. So that's NaomiCowan.
All right. And you can check her out and support her music. I'm going to play a song called Holiday, which she referenced a while ago. Please say hello to Carlene and Tommy for me, and the rest of the family. Always a pleasure, Naomi. Keep on keeping on, and all the best to you.
Richie B, the party master, on Up and Go, The Bridge, 99 FM.